Peace. What does peace mean to you? We've had a couple of ways of receiving it. We got the Advent reading and we had Jessica's lesson. What does peace mean to you? Anybody? A silent bunch. They're like, it means death. No fear. Say, doesn't matter if somebody kills you, you know you're going to heaven. No worries. Comfort. All these songs that come into my head when I hear some of the phrases. The place where I bought my car, they had this awful voicemail, or their whatever you call it when they put you in waiting. There are 5 callers ahead of you. It's don't worry, be happy. So comfort, no worries. Others. Contentment. When we hear that word peace, different things come to our minds. And Jesus said, I bring you peace, or I give you peace, not as the world gives. I give you peace. So in Advent, we are looking at this concept of peace. What is it? And how is it we are called to live into it? Now, in our Advent study, we have Dear Scrooge. Remember Scrooge? Grumpy old man who's not about the season. Nigel, when we come to his door and we start singing carols, do you know what he's going to do to us?
He's going to say bah humbug.
He's going to say bah humbug, and he's going to slam the door in our face.
Maybe hit someone.
And the stick. He's not in a good place. And so his dear friend Marley, who is dead, comes to him and speaks to him and takes him to the past. When it comes to peace, if we don't understand the past, we are doomed to repeat it. We're doomed to fail where we failed before. The past. We stand in the present. So our present reality is what we have, and we look to the future. When I get older, I want the world to be a kinder and gentler place. Isn't that what George Bush said? I long for a kinder and gentler America. His phrase. We have to look to the past to see what wasn't so kind, what wasn't so gentle, what wasn't right. Sometimes it's our relationships. I won't say the name of the district so that the guilty can be preserved in their dignity. But I once knew a community where a superintendent and a school board wanted to get rid of a principal. They didn't like the way he did things. This is my George Bush story. The week that the boom was going to be dropped on this principal that you're fired, remember George Bush's 1,000 points of light? That middle school that was not running effectively according to the leadership won a 1,000 Points of Light award as a school of excellence. That particular individual did not get fired and later became the superintendent. It's perspective. In looking at the past, what was wrong in the past was relationships and jealousy. And perspective. Not being able to see the big picture. Isn't this the challenge that Scrooge has? He cannot see the big picture. Scrooge's problem is he's stuck in the past. And he's stuck looking at this accounting sheet. And if it doesn't look a certain way, that is failure. It's failure. But is it really? Scrooge was about the profit margin. And because of events in his past, he lost perspective of the wider story. And as he continued to lose that perspective, he fell into a narrowing perspective. Back to that certain principle, I wouldn't be here with you all if it weren't for that principle's wider perspective. Dealing with struggles, and that principle saying there's a brighter day. Let's look on the other side of the coin. Let's look on the other side of the room. And do you know what's on the other side of the room? There's a door and there's a window. The door can open up and you can go out into another space. The window can be open without the curtains and you can see out into the other space. And in your present reality, you have to decide, do I keep the door closed? Do I keep the curtains closed? And sit here and stew in my past? Or do I get up and move towards that door and walk in a place of hope and anticipation of what might be on the other side? Go out into the world and bring about the peace you seek. To bring about a peace in Jesus Christ is to overcome fear. Fear has multiple meanings. One kind of fear is okay. That's called the fear of reverence. I fear the Lord. Meaning, I love the Lord and I have such great reverence for the Lord, I don't want to offend. That is not a bad fear. Fear that is bad is, I won't go there because I might fail. I won't go there because I might get hurt. I won't go there because I might get offended. Somebody might call me a name. Somebody might say I'm fat. I advanced forward on a few of those days in the Advent book. They have chocolate. I won't go there because somebody said something bad happened. God forbid you should go near 8 Mile in Detroit. Because you said I shouldn't go there. I drove there. And what did I see? I saw the blessings of God's creation as well as the challenges of today. I saw the heartbreak of yesterday, but my eyes are looking through the window and I see the promise of tomorrow. Fear calls us to step out. Scrooge needs to have Marley come to him in the night and scare it out of him. But even though he's afraid of a ghost, God sends a ghost that is Scrooge's best friend, the one and only person he will listen to. And Scrooge opens the book and says, what is it that Marley has for me? And Marley says, here's your past. Are you going to linger there? Are you going to struggle there? That's chapter 1, Bah Humbug. Are you going to linger there? Or are you going to take steps that lead you somewhere? How many of you are afraid of dying? Don't raise your hands. You don't have to. I know those fears are there. But what if we understand that death is a doorway? It's not a finality, it's a doorway. What if we understand that the body that we have is the clothing? Where is the real body? It's the spirit that God gives you. What if we understand that life is the opportunities that we have not only to learn about the past and to live in today, but it is the guide and the path that takes us where our faith says we want to be. When we overcome the fear of death, we have the opportunity to live. Peace is overcoming the ultimate fear. For many of us, that is death. Advent calls us to confront that, just as it calls us to explore the opportunities of life. Advent, we look back at the birth narrative of a child who is a gift from God. And as we look back, we are also looking in the present reality, and we're moving to the future. In the present reality, in the story of Advent, we will get to that point where Jesus has not only been born, but his life is at risk. Advent and the story of Christmas will lead to Epiphany, and it calls us to look at birth and death. And it reminds us that death has no victory, for life will be victorious. Life in Jesus Christ. Advent is waiting, is anticipating, and is looking at these conflicting realities. If you want to live, you must be willing to die. And as death comes, you must be willing to live. So you must overcome fear in order to capture the blessings. Amen. Scrooge is afraid to live and he's afraid to die. And so God sends messengers in the way of the ghosts to guide him, to speak to him, and to challenge him. I hope we can all be like Scrooge. Not his past and his momentary present, but the future that the ghosts will lead him to. I'm not going to tell you the rest of the story about Scrooge. We'll tell a little more next week. But those of you who haven't been living under a rock, you know the story as it's been portrayed 100 different ways. So it is with our story of faith. As we start leading to the nativity, to the birth, and into this year of telling the story of life and of death and of life eternal, we are in the year that Christ has called us to. What opportunity will you take to bring peace and to build the kingdom of Jesus Christ this year?